thank you very much for being here. And before I do what I'm supposed to do here, I'd like to say to Mrs. Abe, thank you for your kind words and for your remarks. I also know how difficult it is to talk about the loss of someone so dear as your husband, because I've had to do the same thing. You do it with great grace and with great dignity. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a privilege to honor a man whose life's work has helped shape not only global commerce, but the spirit of leadership and service we value deeply, Fred Smith. When I think about Fred, I don't just think about the founder of a remarkable company or a pioneer of modern logistics. I think about a friend, and I think about the many conversations he shared with John, conversations rooted in duty, integrity, and the deep belief in America's role in the world. John admired people who built things, institutions, ideas, opportunities, and Fred was exactly that kind of person. He saw possibility where others saw obstacles, and he didn't wait for perfect conditions. He moved forward with clarity and courage. That's something John understood very well. I remember evenings when Fred and John would sit together, sometimes in Washington, sometimes at gatherings like this, and the conversation would inevitably turn to service, not just military service, though both men understood that profoundly, but service in the broader sense, what it means to contribute something larger than yourself. Fred brought the mindset in everything he did. Yet, yes, he built a global enterprise, but he also built pathways, connecting people, economies, and communities. He helped make the world smaller, not just through speed and efficiency, but through reliability and trust. John used to say that leadership is about taking responsibility, especially when it's hard, and Fred exemplified that, whether it was navigating economic uncertainty, supporting American jobs, or advocating for policies that strengthen our global standing. He consistently showed what it meant to lead with conviction. But beyond the professional achievements, what meant the most to John and what means the most to me was Fred's loyalty, his steadiness, his willingness to show up, not just in moments of celebration, but in moments that require quiet strength. The Institute was founded on the idea that character matters, that leadership grounded in values can change the world. Fred Smith embodied this idea. He demonstrated that success and responsibility are not separate pursuits, but they go hand in hand. Today, we honor him. We're not just recognizing a career, we're recognizing a standard, a way of leading that is rooted in discipline, humility, and purpose. I know John would be especially proud to see Fred recognized here, not just because of what he had accomplished, but because of how he did it, with integrity, with resilience, and with a deep sense of duty. Both men reminded all of us that leadership at its best is an act of service. Thank you. And now I turn the stage over to my son, Jimmy.
Please join me in welcoming Laurie and Lela Hooper to the stage to accept the award for their father and grandfather, Fred Smith.
Good morning. Thank you, Jimmy, Jack, and Ambassador McCain. I'm honored to accept this award on behalf of my father and my family. Thank you to the McCain family, to the McCain Institute, and to everyone gathered here today. This means more to our family than words can easily express. My sister Samantha, who many of you know quite well through her work at government affairs alongside our father, as well as her time working on the McCain campaign, was so disappointed that she could not join us, but was kind enough to share some of her thoughts and perspective for me for this acceptance. And I have the good fortune of sharing this moment with my oldest daughter, Lela, who is also working here, so she is continuing our family relationship with the McCains. Just to reference the beautiful award presented last night, The Man in the Arena, it's such a fitting underlying theme for the McCain Institute and the recipient, Ambassador McCain, Senator McCain, and my father, as they have all been there and truly live by the message in the famous Theodore Roosevelt speech. It was a favorite and well-referenced speech from my father as well. And as a matter of fact, my 3 brothers and my 2 sons have copies of it framed in their rooms and offices, all gifts from him. I continue to be in awe of the recognition and remembrance of my father and his remarkable life so well lived. And how fortunate we all are to have the opportunity to celebrate these 2 extraordinary and amazing men today. My father and John McCain. There are few people we personally come across who have left their mark and truly changed the landscape of the world we live in, as they both have. My father had such respect and deep admiration for John McCain, not as a political figure, but as a man and as a friend. It was a friendship that was rooted in something they shared long before either of them became these worldly figures. Both served in Vietnam as young officers and returned changed, shaped by an experience that would in many ways pave the paths for them and their futures. One a naval officer, one a Marine, and I feel certain they would agree that if you truly learn who you are when things are the hardest. And for my father and John McCain, that was most likely when they were both miles away from home, navigating and surviving in the same jungle and under the same skies. My father served 2 tours in Vietnam as a Marine officer. He served as a platoon leader, a company commander, and a forward air controller. He came home with a Silver Star, a Bronze Star, and 2 Purple Hearts. Though he didn't talk about those decorations often, rather the importance and responsibility of leadership and for taking care of others and for those counting on you, because those were his brothers. A message and lesson that he lived by and continued to carry with him, and something he most recently shared with my son about a somewhat dismissive high school coach. He said a coach or a leader can't expect his players or troops to be loyal to him if he does not exemplify and lead with the same loyalty. And I think both he and John McCain would share that belief, and they carried that with them and with the same quiet resolve and unshakable sense of duty, something larger than themselves. As a matter of fact, when rifling through my father's closet after his passing, which he would have absolutely hated, though just trying to hold on to yet one more thing or memory, a few of my siblings came across some old newspaper clippings and memorabilia from his time in the war, which was very telling to us for his character. We knew he was the recipient of the Bronze Star and 2 Purple Hearts, but we learned that he had been wounded a 3rd time during his first tour, which would have made him eligible for a 3rd Purple Heart. Serving as acting company commander, he knew that receiving that Purple Heart would mean leaving the combat zone permanently. So instead, he quietly had a corpsman bandage and treat him, and he continued his tour with his troops in the field. A group of young men facing an unimaginable situation together, he appointed as their leader. He was loyal to the troops who trusted him, and they in turn were loyal to him. That's who he was: courage, perseverance, character, and loyalty. True sacrifice and instinctual willingness to put others before yourself without hesitation or fanfare. It was a commonality and a mutual belief behind this extraordinary friendship, a fellowship that only those who have given that much can truly grasp. My father often credited the Marine Corps for teaching him leadership, discipline, and how to manage people under pressure, which directly enabled him to create and manage the complex logistics of FedEx. The emphasis on accountability, reliability, and clear command structures were the guidelines to his creation and founding of Federal Express, now FedEx, in 1973. A fleet of 14 jets and a belief that could guarantee overnight delivery of a package anywhere in the country took courage. The legendary story of my father taking the company's last $5,000 to Las Vegas and winning just enough to cover a fuel bill and a few loyal employees took grit and courage. A vision and a leap of faith that is now one of the most recognized companies in the world, connecting people and possibilities, businesses and families across more than 220 countries. But he never lost sight of what he believed FedEx was really about. Not the packages, but the people. He built a people-first culture that was unmistakably his own, and he lived it and he walked it every day. The employees, the troops, recognized it and believed it too. So to bring it full circle, all that we are recognizing here this weekend, John McCain, Ambassador McCain, and my father, they all really are the man in the arena. For my father, his time in the Marines, the war, the life, and FedEx, he was the man in the arena. He dared and strived valiantly, he erred at times, and he came up short. And through it, he found the triumph of high achievement. He lived vigorously and to the fullest, and he did it doing what he loved, with the people he loved, and he changed the world while doing it. He's the greatest man I have ever known. He's a mentor, a teacher, a role model, and ultimately the best father and friend to his 10 children. He would have been deeply humbled by this honor. He would have said something modest and then turned the conversation back to the mission of the Institute and the legacy of his dear friend, John McCain. So I will do the same. Senator McCain once said, "Nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself." My father lived that, and he believed it with his whole heart. And our family is grateful beyond measure that this institute, carrying the senator's name and his spirit, has seen fit to recognize him for it. On behalf of my entire family, we thank you. We humbly accept the John McCain Institute Courage and Leadership Award on behalf of our father, Frederick W. Smith. Thank you.